We're going to add and subtract rational expressions now, Chapter 8, Section 2. So we're going to let's start with simple adding of fractions. In order to add fractions, you need to get common denominator. So you got 4 sevenths and 2 sevenths is 6 sevenths, and then you got 3 eighths and 1/8 is 4 eighths. Also, please remember that you could split this up here. You can put negative 3x over 9 minus 18 over 9. Then you could simplify them separately. X over 3 minus 2. This negative is on the whole thing. Gotta be careful of that. So it could be distributed in. A couple little review things there for you. Adding and subtracting with the same denominators is pretty straightforward. 3 over a minus 5 over a is negative 2 over a. 5x over 8 minus 1x over 8 is 4x over 8, or x over 2, or a half of x. All these would be the same thing. You do have to watch out with the subtraction. You need to understand that my common denominator here is 2m minus 3. On the top, then, I need to distribute this negative sign. M plus 1 minus 3m plus 2. So you got to watch out for that negative sign. Now you combine the like terms. Negative 2m plus 3 over 2m minus 3. This goes back to what we had the other day. These look the same. If I want to switch the signs on the top, I can factor out a negative 1 and get 2m minus 3 over 2m minus 3. My answer is negative 1. But you got to watch out for this one over here. You got to distribute that in. You have to understand that if it's a negative sign in front of the fraction bar, you got to negate the whole thing. After you got a common denominator, c plus 2. On top, c squared minus 4. You need to recognize that as the difference of two squares. Whoops. C plus 2, c minus 2. And at this point, we could cancel the c plus 2. So I end up with c minus 2 at the end. Same thing here. Here's a minus sign, but there's only one thing that it's being subtracted. So I get 4x plus 4y is in the denominator, and then on top I end up with I get 4x minus 4y minus 4x. So my 4x minus 4x goes away. I get negative 4y all over 4x plus 4y. Well, everything has a 4. So on the bottom, you could factor out x plus y. So I end up with negative y over x plus y because these 4's can cancel after you factor it out. Least common multiple. If I'm going to find a least common multiple between 12 and 8, I think sometimes it's easy to talk about the fact that would be 24. We can think about 12 times 2. And then you got to multiply times 2 and times 2. 8 times 3 and times 3. I get 14 plus 15. My answer here is 29 over 24. So that's the least common multiple. Where you do that over here, 3 and 7, there's nothing more we can do. Times 7 times 7 times 3 times 3. I get 7 over 21 plus 6 over 21, which is 13 over 21. How do you determine what your least common multiple is? You take your 12 and you turn it into its prime factorization. 2 times 2 times 3 and 8 is 2 times 3. 2 to the third, excuse me. So this is 4 times 3, that's 12. So you take everything that is here. I need a 2, and you always need the higher exponent, which is this guy. So I take 2 cubed, I need everything, and this is 8 times 3, which is 24. Over here, 3 and 7, I need a 3 and I need a 7. That's where my 21 comes from. We'll take a look at more of those. Here we go. Whoops. Okay. Let's start with this 12. Again, 12 can be written as 2 squared times 3. If you're not sure how to get this, just start dividing by 2. Divide by 2 is 6. Divide by 2 is 3. 2 times 2 times 3. That's where this comes from. 32 divided by 2 is 16. Divided by 2 is 8. Divided by 2 is 4. Divided by 2 is 2. So it's 2 to the 5th. 2 to the 5th. And so my least common multiple, I need a 2, and I need the higher exponent, so I need a 2 to the 5th. I need a 3, I need one of everything. I need a b, and I need the higher exponent, so I'll take the 4th. I need a c, I need the higher exponent, so I'll take the 5th. So my least common multiple is 2 to the 5th, or 32 times 3, which is 96, b to the 4th, c to the 5th. Down here, the first thing I have to do is factor. This is x and x. I need a minus 7 plus 4. This is x and x. I need a minus 7 and a minus 1. Okay, so what do they have in common? X minus 7, the least common multiple. I need a x minus 7. I need a x minus 1. I need a x plus 4. This would be the least common multiple between these two things. I need one of everything, and if there's exponents, I need the higher value. Take a look here. First thing I need to do is factor this guy. X plus 1, x plus 4. Okay, here's my other thing. I need one of everything, which means I need a x plus 1. What's the higher exponent? I need the squared. And I need an x plus 4. There's the least common multiple for these two guys. Again, factor up here. M minus 2 and m plus 5. So I need, well, I need this, I need this, I need everything. So this is like 3 times 7. Again, I need m minus 4 squared, m minus 2, m plus 5. There's nothing more we can do there. You need one of everything. If they have it in common, you need the higher exponent. Adding and subtracting, again, what we're going to do here is we're going to get the common denominator. So I think this one's pretty easy to see that we're going to get the common denominator is going to be 9x squared. So this one's going to need a 3x and a 3x. So I'm going to get 21ax over 9x squared. So I'm going to take and I'm going to add them together. 2a plus 21ax all over 9x squared. That would be it. That's all we have to do. Ooh, oops. Common denominator. I need a y plus 2 and a y minus 6. This one over here needs a y minus 6. This one over here needs a y plus 2. Okay, so now we got to put these together. So this needs a y minus plus 2. So there's my denominator. Here's my common denominator. On top, I get 5y minus 30. Got to watch out for that sign right there. Plus y plus 2. I get 6y minus 28 over y plus 2 and y minus 6. There's my answer. Might want to factor that, make sure it doesn't cancel with something on the bottom. That factors into 3 times 2y minus, 2 times 3y minus 14. So there's nowhere to go. So this is your answer. Factor the denominators first. N plus 3, n minus 3. 2 times n plus 3. Common denominator will be, I need a 2, I need an n plus 3, I need an n minus 3. Okay, so what does this one need? It needs a 2 and a 2. Gives me 16. This one needs an n minus 3, n minus 3. Plus 2n minus 6. Distribute, distribute. Combine the like terms, and I get 16 minus 6, 10 plus 2n over 2 times n plus 3n minus 3. I'd take a 2 out of that top, I'd rearrange, I'd get n plus 5 over 2n plus 3n minus 3, and then finally I'd cancel those 2's out, here and here, n plus 5, n plus 3, n minus 3, and we're done. There's your answer. Again, common denominator, always start by factoring. A minus 5, a minus 5, oh that's a minus 5 squared. So my common denominator will be, I need a minus 5 squared. And then on the top, this one's going to need another a minus 5. A minus 5. I need to FOIL this together. I need to get 2a squared minus 10a plus 6a minus 30 plus 6a plus 24a. Oh, there's no a on that 24. What was I thinking? Put them all together. 2a squared, negative 10a plus 6a plus 6a. I believe that's going to be plus 2a. Negative 30 plus 24 minus 6 over a minus 5 squared. I should probably check to see if I can factor that top. I'd take a 2 out. A squared plus a minus 3. Question is a squared plus, this is not factorable on top any further, so you could be done. In fact, you can be done back over here if you really wanted to be. Good stuff, good stuff. Okay, I think we have the main idea. The one thing you do want to watch out for here, this one's going to factor into p plus 1 and p plus 1, also known as p plus 1 squared. This one's going to factor into p plus 1 and p plus 4. Now, one thing you got to be careful of, I'm going to get a common denominator of p plus 1 squared. I need 2 of them, and a p plus 4. This one needs a p plus 4. This needs a p plus 4. This one needs a p plus 1 because I'm 1 short down here. Okay, when I distribute now, p squared plus 4p. Now this minus is connected to this 1. It needs to be distributed here and here. So this would be minus p minus 1. And I would get p squared plus 3p minus 1 over p plus 1 squared times p plus 4. And that's it. We want to check to see if that's factorable. It's not. Last thing that we got to take a look at, how do I deal with this fraction and a fraction here? What I like to do is just multiply that out. Multiply by the whole n minus 2 and n minus 2. So what you get on the bottom, you get this n plus 3, n minus 2. And then you take this whole thing times n. N times n minus 2 minus 15 times this whole thing times here, n minus 2. Now we simplify the top on its own. Got to watch out for that negative sign, boy. Let me tell you. n squared minus 2n minus 15n plus 30 over n plus 3 n minus 2 equals n squared minus 17n plus 30 over n plus 3 n minus 2. Better factor that. N and n, I think it's a minus 2 and a minus 15. Well, looky there. We finally got one to cancel out. We can cancel those n minus 2's, and my answer is n minus 15 over n plus 3. I think that about does it for this lesson. So hope you enjoyed.